This book is all about Steven, who I haven't seen in the series since, book 21? Maybe Steven should have been the long-lost brother in that one book. Based on the recap in this book, I'm left to guess that Steven spent 30 books mourning over the death of his girlfriend, 1 book getting together with Cara, and 30 books hiding under the bed to avoid being caught up in his sister's drama.
Argo Fump Book Review, Argo Fump Book Review.
Steven and Cara are a couple now. I have no idea how that relationship got started. He must not think it's creepy to date his little sister's best friend. Steven and Cara haven't seen much of each other lately because he's studying to get into an exclusive legal program. Cara and her mother go to London for a week, and they come back with bad news. They're moving to London permanently! So now Cara has to break up with Steven, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Drama happens, as everyone is super sad. Cara wishes she could stay with her dad in Chicago. Jessica watches a Sappy Romance movie when inspiration strikes. Marriage! If Steven marries Cara, she won't have to move away. That's a bad idea for several reasons. But it only takes 1 paragraph for Jessica to convince Steven it's a great idea. He runs to Cara and proposes to her. She is a little reluctant because they're too young to be married, but they don't really have a choice here. Getting married is the only way they can be together. So she agrees to marry Steven. They make secret plans to run away to a wedding chapel in Nevada. All they need are rings and a blood test. A blood test to get married? That seems weird. Elizabeth learns about the secret wedding plans when she answers the phone, and it's the jewelry store asking about the wedding rings. Elizabeth's first instinct is to tell her parents, but she can't, because otherwise there wouldn't be a story. She can't because Steven's an adult, so he's free to make his own choices. Which brings me to the main problem of the book. Yes, Steven is an adult, but Cara is not. She is 16. In other words, she's a minor, and it is illegal for her to get married without her parents' permission. The entire plot of the book is impossible. Elizabeth tries to talk Steven out of getting married, as it's clearly a spur-of-the-moment decision he hasn't put any actual thought into. After all, he's trying to get into the law program. He can't do that if he's married. Married people aren't allowed to go to school. Wait, what? Married people can't go to school? What are you talking about, Elizabeth? Of course married people can go to school. It soon becomes apparent that this book has no idea what marriage is like in real life. Everybody assumes that if you're married, you have to spend all your time at home with your spouse. You're not allowed to go to school or meet with friends or have fun. You just sit at home all the time. I believe this book has marriage confused with being put under house arrest. Since the book assumes that's what marriage is like, Steven and Cara start to worry. She's sad because she won't get to see her friends and she can't be a cheerleader anymore, while he's sad because he can't go to college and be a lawyer anymore. It's ridiculous because they can 100% do these things while married, but the book insists they can't. Cara's friends give her a bridal shower and her dad makes plans to visit. It's pretty obvious to me that he wants to see her before she leaves the country forever, but Cara decides this means her parents are getting married again. Oh, they're going to be one big happy family again, and they won't have to move to London, and they can both laugh about how they made secret wedding plans at the same time. Ha ha, it'll be so much fun. This is why Jessica and Cara are best friends. They both make up random garbage off the top of their heads and automatically assume it's true. When Dad arrives, he says he's engaged to a woman named Julia. Karen is so furious and angry that he isn't going along with her fantasy, she decides she's gonna spite him by marrying Steven for sure, no matter what. Steven is accepted into the legal program, which is great news, except you can't be married and go to school at the same time. He'll have to choose between Cara and his dreams of being a lawyer. He almost tells the truth to Cara, but he loves her too much to make her suffer. So he lies to everybody and says the legal program rejected him. Thanks to a contrived excuse, Jessica finds the acceptance letter. She can't believe Steven's giving up his dream job for Cara. Jessica talks about it with Elizabeth, and Elizabeth confirms the arbitrary plot point that married people aren't allowed to leave the house. Jessica's sad that she'll never get to see Cara again, so she decides to sabotage the wedding. First, she tricks Cara into babysitting some horrible kids to teach her that getting married and having kids is a bad idea. Second, she gives Cara a lecture on how Steven is a sexist jerk who will take over her life and force her to do everything, even though he obviously wouldn't do that. Steven's a great guy. Then Jessica goes on and on about how marriage means you have no time or money, and finally she hits Cara with the news that Steven's giving up his dream job for this. Cara gets a serious case of cold feet, especially when her mom gives her a lecture on why being a single woman is great. Single women get to feel confident and make decisions. Not like married people. They never decide anything, and they always feel like garbage. Gee, Mom, thanks for the conveniently timed, oddly specific lecture. Jessica also gets cold feet, and she tells her parents about the wedding 15 minutes after Steven and Cara leave. Even though the entire wedding is Jessica's fault, she goes out of her way to blame Elizabeth for everything. Jessica is a horrible person. The wedding is tragic, as Steven says I do, while Cara says, no, I can't marry you, Steven. Before he can ask why, the parents burst in and stop everything. Steven throws the rings away and refuses to talk to Cara ever again. The drama cow approves of this. But of course we can't end the book there. Cara explains the situation to Elizabeth, who explains it to Steven. He makes a mad dash to the airport so he can make a passionate declaration of love for her, and also delay the flight and inconvenience dozens of strangers. They pledge to be reunited and get married someday, at which point they will sit in their room and never talk to anyone ever again. The end. Post-book follow-up. This book is awful. The premise is good, but the book is awful. I take that back. The premise is awful too. Steven and Cara getting married would be a great premise, under the right circumstances, but here it's just silly and contrived garbage. Jessica sees a romance movie and they decide they have to get married because that's what the people in the movie did. That's ridiculous. If the marriage had been Steven or Cara's idea, it would have worked better, but it was Jessica's idea, which makes it even worse when Jessica decides to sabotage the wedding. She sets up the wedding, then immediately tries to destroy it because she doesn't want to lose her best cheerleader. What an inconsistent, selfish brat she is. And the idea that married people can't go to school, where did that come from? That's wrong! And it's also wrong to say married people can't have friends, and it's wrong to say married people always have financial problems, that all married people have lots of kids, and besides, they can't get married in the first place because Cara's 16. Is there anything to like about this book? Well, the dramatic wedding breakup was well done. If this series was a daytime soap opera, and it is, there would have been at least a week of flashbacks to that scene. If only the build-up to the scene had made sense! I don't know, this book is well written, but as a married man myself, I can't accept the premise that marriage is awful and ruins your life forever. Maybe the premise seems more realistic to a 16-year-old like Cara, but I don't buy it. I give Sweet Valley High, number 83, Steven's Bride, a 1 out of 10.